And good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this edition of New Distributor Training for Saturday morning. My name's Fred Holmes. I'm excited about today's training. I have a dear friend of mine that is going to be joining us, Linda Conti, double diamond with our company. For those of you that aren't familiar with the ranking system, that means that she's doing the deal, double diamond. That's twice as good as a diamond. So first of all, welcome everybody. Glad you could join us today, especially those of you that are maybe just getting started with us, because that's really what our focus is on the fundamentals, the basics that every new distributor wants to be embracing as they start building their business here with Zija and Isogenics as we make this transition. It's an exciting time for us. I had an interesting conversation with a young man, I believe out of Philadelphia yesterday, just about the age I was 35 years ago when I started my journey in network marketing, never expecting that, what could happen if you have a home-based business that gives you the flexibility and time freedom to focus on the important things in your life, making the creation of income something that can become residual, something that can build wealth, something that can prepare you for all of the things that we do not know are going to happen in the future, including today's environment. 35 years ago, I left my career as a cross-country truck driver to get involved in this concept of a home-based business, network marketing, multi-level marketing, many terms that we use for our enterprise. And all the promises that were made, the ability to create income, to do something meaningful, to be able to make that transition, from the 95% of the working world to the 5% of the world that has time freedom, financial abundance. All those promises have been fulfilled, and much more than I anticipated. But the conversation I had with this young man, he was just starting his journey with us here since the beginning of the year. And I told him that in 35 years, and now we're just transitioning, this will be my fourth company that I will have been in 35 years as we make this transition into Isogenics. This is the most exciting time that I've ever been in this profession in terms of, potential for growth, potential for providing leadership, providing the kinds of things the world is looking for. One of the things I shared with him was that, the definition of leadership is he who serves the many. And this is truly what our profession is all about. So today, what we're going to do is I'm going to have a guest presenter. Linda Conti is going to join me here shortly. And she's going to be talking about one of the most important concepts on building our business, which is how to connect with people. Now, for those of you that are taking notes, I hope you got your journal handy. In particular, if this is your first opportunity to be part of a new distributor training, I want to direct you to some resources that I strongly encourage you to look at, especially if this is your first opportunity to be involved in a home-based business in the network marketing arena. Or perhaps you've been involved in the past, but you never really found a way to break out of, that entry level, position, if you will. And in particular, for those of you that have recognized the opportunity that we have right here in front of us right now with this incredible merger between two great companies, Zija International and Isogenics. And you want to fine tune and refine and hone your skills so you can take the greatest advantage of the potential of this opportunity. I want to direct you to my YouTube channel. The YouTube channel, matter of fact, I'll put it in the chat box for those of you that can see that there. Let me make sure everybody sees this here. I suggest you go to www.youtube.com/Fred Holmes Zija. Now, when you go to that YouTube channel, you'll find archived all of the previous presentations that we've done, our Thursday night business presentations that I host, Saturday morning new distributor trainings. But in particular, what I want you to see is the playlist tab. When you go to that website, I'm just going to do that right now, put that in there, / Fred Holmes, Zija. Oh, wait a minute, I spelled it wrong. Zija. Okay, I got it in there right now. And for those of you, you can cut and paste that. And I think you might even be able to just tap the screen and go there, but don't leave the webinar. Go to the playlist tab. In the playlist tab, you'll see 4 little videos. The first one is new distributor training. And what it is, it's 30-minute compilation, if you will, of all the most meaningful things that I've learned in 35 years on how to build this kind of business. It's exactly what we do and how we do it. And honestly, if you're the person that you believe yourself to be, that can create true abundance with this, that's really that's all I was looking for 35 years ago. Just tell me what to do and how to do it. And then I'll go do the work part. I'm not afraid of the work part. I just need to know, what do we do and how do we do it? That 30-minute video will put you on the path to success. It's what I was taught 35 years ago to allow me to leave, truck driving. And, fast forward, I mean, in 35 years, I've made, many, 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 many times over what I would have made in a lifetime as a truck driver. And it's created a tremendous, sense of security to be able to have the resources necessary to weather any storm, no matter what. Now, you'll see 3 more little videos there. I encourage you to check those out. Call it advanced training, how to develop a prospect list successfully like professionals do. The concept of developing your personal story, that will be your #1 tool. Your personal story will be your #1 tool. And the concept of a 90-day game plan, what every successful network marketer understands about creating momentum. And we're actually, next week, I'm going to be talking about creating momentum. But what I want to do right now is I'm going to bring over Linda Conti. I'm going to have her share, her story briefly. But she really has some great input to the discussion of how to reach out and contact people, how to connect with people, because that's all we really do. We connect with people, we share our products, we share our income opportunity, we teach others to do the same. And I can't think of anybody better equipped to share that with you, and certainly better than me. That's why she's our guest presenter today. Linda, I'm bringing you over to this side of the presentation right now. And let's see if we've got Linda. And I see her coming on. And hello, Linda. Hello, Linda. And there we go. And I'm going to unmute you. And I will unmute you. There you go.
Okay. There.
Hey.
Okay. Hey, how are you? All of a sudden, when you said I'm going to bring you over, my Zoom went away and it said rejoining. So I don't know what happened.
It scared you. Yeah, that's what I'm sure that's what happens when when the transition takes place.
Yeah.
Good morning, Linda. Good to see you.
Good morning. How
Well, I
are
guess
you?
it's about 10 minutes into noon now, right?
It is. It is.
Well, you're looking lovely. Thank you so much for joining us. And I did full disclosure just a moment ago. One of the most important things that a new person or any of us can learn is how to connect with people in a meaningful level. And then full disclosure said, and that's why I got Linda coming on, because she's going to do a whole lot better job than me. And folks, listen, I'm just demonstrating something here. You don't have to be the best at this. You just got to work with the people that are, and that's what I'm doing. And that's why I got my journal out, because I'm going to be taking notes today. Linda, maybe we could start out and have you share with the folks, your 60-second story. Just tell us a little bit about who you are, because there's a lot of people that don't know who you are.
Okay, great, Fred. I was going to weave that into my stuff, but I'll just tell you right now, I have a 25-year corporate background. Before Zija and Isogenics, I was tired. I yo-yo dieted my entire adult life ever since I was a teen. I did not consistently eat healthy. We attempted to, but I was on the road a lot, and you know how that goes. I worked tremendous hours with my corporate job and had no time freedom. Those were the things that I would have said maybe I didn't even realize were big issues for me, but then when I look at it, they were. So I was introduced to Zija Isogenics by a friend in the horse show world. She asked us to attend a meeting. So Lou and I went with the idea that we are not joining anything, but as a favor to Becky, we would go to the meeting. We went, we listened, it made too much sense not to, and then we were in. Still with the plan that I was not changing anything with my corporate job, right? But it was going to be product, and it was going to be a plan B that was an opportunity for us as well. So then, so that's 7 years ago. So again, I have not gone a day without putting Super Mix in my body in seven years, and that has been tremendous. And so today I'll tell you, I'm already past that and my shake, and now I'm on to BIA. So anyway, I am lighter today than I was 26 years ago when around the time Lindsay was born. I have my health and wellness back. I feel phenomenal. I have my time freedom. My corporate job left me when I was 47, and so I have my time freedom. I've replaced the income that I had with my corporate job as well. I also eat healthier with the shakes with Isogenics. I'm really able to eat healthier now, and I'm not near as tired. I have tons of energy. So, and I now believe, Fred, I really truly now believe that everyone of all ages deserves the opportunity to at least know what we have, to feel the way that I do, and to have the opportunity that we have. If they want to eliminate debt, I think they deserve the coaching and the support that we have, that we're happy to give them as well. I believe it's a purpose for me. It's an obligation, if you will, to make a significant difference in the world and to truly bring hope and leave a legacy for future generations.
You know, that is such a beautiful thing. And folks, I want to point out something that is very subtle in what Linda said, but it's so meaningful and so important. But, you know, the 95% of the world that works for a living doesn't get this, okay? Linda said she replaced the income from her corporate level job, you know, many years ago when she, you know, joined network marketing. And it's more than, you know, taking a, you know, a great income from a job and then being able to produce it in your own business. There's two other things that go with this that you do not understand until you've experienced it. The ability to have that replacement level of income, but under your own terms.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to get somebody else's permission to take the afternoon off to go see the kids, you know, play or meet with the teacher or see the soccer game. You don't have to have, you know, somebody else's permission to do your business from the beach. You know, you know my story. I'm here 24/7 with mom. I care for my elderly mother with dementia, but twice a year, you know, my sister, thank you, Faith, my sister takes over and I disappear to the islands, you know, an undisclosed island location. But I still am able to support my team members from the beach or from the lanai. You don't have to ask one person, you know, can you get an increase in your income? You help one more person join the business and it increases your income. The second thing that you don't understand until you've experienced it, our income, Linda's income, my income, all of us that participate in this enterprise can become residual. What happens if you need to take 6 months off from work? That happened to me 3.5 years ago with my mom's situation. My income continued to come in and actually increased over that 6-month period of time, even though I was putting no time into my business. So time freedom and flexibility of work and residual income. You can't get that anywhere else. So Linda, I so much appreciate, you know, the conversation we had earlier in the week, your willingness to jump in and provide some of your experience and your skill sets. You were sharing some things with me, and I'd like you to kind of I'm going to kind of just step out of the picture here and let you take over. I'll be here if you need me for anything. But you had some really meaningful, you know, thoughts on what it is we do, connecting with people. And you know, I've been pretty simplistic about it. I guess, you know, because I was never really that guy that was very outgoing. You know, I had a small circle of friends. I wasn't the life of the party. I was the guy at the back end of the party, right? That wasn't really my strong suit. And really what I did is I was able to bulldog my way through it by just, talking to enough people that I could find somebody that says, yes, I'd like to buy your product, or yes, I'd like to join your business. Clearly, there's a better way to do it than just going through numbers. And so share with the folks some of the thoughts that you were sharing with me earlier in the week about your concept of connecting appropriately with people.
Well, so absolutely, Fred. And I believe that it's one of the most critical things that we do. And if we don't connect with people, we'll struggle to build those relationships, to have that network, to have that tribe, if you will, that really can take us to the places that we all want to go and that we can take other people to too. A quote that I'll use to start with by Donald Miller says, people don't care about your story. They care most about their story and the solution to their problem. So it's not a thing of them not caring about you. They're not as interested in your story because they want to know what the solution is to theirs. So how do we get there? How do we get there with people? There's 3 different points I'll bring up. One is that we get to know more about them. We get to know where they are, what they need, what their pain points are, and you just do that through conversation. You don't say, what are your pain points? You don't say, where are you at today? You just, as you go down that road of conversation with them, I guess you can ask that, but the best way to connect is just to have conversation. But of course, listen, don't be talking all the time. Listen as they speak. And then guide them to where they want to be, and then offer the solution that you may have. For the pain points, for the problems that they have, if it's opportunity, if it's financial, if it's health, if it's a combination. We've got to inspire them to be their best. And they may think that it's just a way that they're going to be with their age. Let's say they're middle-aged and they just think that with middle age comes this and comes that, and I'm expected to have pain and I'm expected to have this problem and that problem. Until you guide them differently, they don't know any better. And some people you'll never get there with, right? But those that you can connect with and can show them and can share vision with them, you may get there. Imagine with them. So here's what we may be talking about in 5 years. Imagine where you are today. Imagine the arthritis pain that you have today. And imagine if 5 years from now, you're walking on the beach with Fred Holmes in Hawaii. Just imagine some of those things with them, right? So, and then you can weave in your story. I just told you my story, but weave in your story wherever you can say it at the beginning. It may fit better when you get farther into talking with them, depending on the relationship you have. Because this may be somebody you've known for years, you're reconnecting with them. Maybe you've been friends with them for years, but you want to introduce to isogenics. It's a different type of story. It's a different type of conversation each time. What you absolutely don't want to do is you don't want to pick up the phone and start blasting them with facts about the products of the company that you're in, because we all know where that goes, right? So then, too much detail, too much about ourselves, too much about the products that we have just becomes noise for them. You lose them. And I'm going to tell on myself here. I was on Fred's Thursday night a couple weeks ago or last week or something. And my story had way too much noise in it. And the story that I just told you this morning is more along the lines of the story I tell and should always tell. But the other, because I thought those details are important, I think everybody thinks that, right? So you've got to remember that you just want to hit those questions, those few things. And like Fred said, you want to stick to a couple minutes max, right? But keep the noise away. So again, listen to identify what they want. What do your prospects want? Ask questions. Make sure that you direct the conversation. You need to continue to direct it, being in control of the conversation, and define their challenge. After you've defined their challenge, again, you're going to offer a solution. A solution may include a testimony that you've got of somebody who's used that particular product that you think is the solution. And don't be afraid to jump in their boat with them, right? And especially if they offer an objection and say, well, but I don't think da 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 da. I would come back with, well, that's what I thought. That's what I thought too, but here's what I found. And the great Paul Orberson used to tell us, if you jump in their boat with them, pretty soon they're jumping out of their boat into your boat. So I've always loved that, but it's, here's what I thought the same thing. Now, if you come at them with defense, if they say this objection and you say, well, that's not right, da 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 da, you're not going to get where you want to be. But again, say, that's what I thought too, but here's what I really found. Just a thought there. Another way to say that is, what do they want? What is keeping them from getting what they want? And what will life look like when they get what they want? Again, that was, what do they want? What is keeping them from getting what they want? And what will life look like when they get what they want? If these questions can't be answered in 15 or 20 minutes, the story has descended into noise. Again, you've lost them. Then they will need to research more. And we all know what happens when people need to research more, right? And Fred mentioned the third party call. The third party call is critical, and especially, and I say especially, but not just for new people. It's for duplication all the time. I mean, I use a third party call because it's for duplication with your new person, right? So the third party call helps you when you're new because it helps with facts. It may help some more with, it may help guide that person to what they need if as a new person you don't feel you can do that. It provides duplication, as I said, and it helps you connect with people because you've added that third party, because that means this is a team of people. Linda valued me enough to connect me with Fred. Linda valued me in what I thought and where she wanted. She really cares about my future and a solution to my problem because she connected me with Fred, and he's a big deal. So those are just things, those are things that will help people to understand their importance with you. And then how you connect will determine your ability to call them into action, because that's another point too, is what is the call to action? Okay, it's got to be clear and direct step to overcome their challenges. The solution, the vision, the what if we did this? What might that do for you? Many will just watch you until you call them to action. And we know that we may have to drip and we may have conversation after conversation. It may take us 5, 6, 7 times before they join your business. But they're not going to join your business usually unless you've called them to action. And that only can happen after you've connected with them, because if you haven't connected, then they don't see the value in calling them to action. But be bold, guys. Don't be afraid to show them the cost to not do business with you. So you might say something like, you know, I know you really struggle with that arthritis in your knee. What if, you know? So what they don't want is any more arthritis in their knees. You obviously aren't going to say, well, this is absolutely going to take it away. But what if? What if your future could be this? I'll tell you an example, and this is 4 or 5 years ago, but a lady whose 5-year-old daughter had type 1 diabetes. And I walked into their home and I sat down with her, and she said, can SmartMix allow my daughter to stop taking insulin? And my reply was, only God knows. But if we don't do something different than what you're doing today, you'll continue down the same path with her that you were. And they still today are, the entire family, great customers, and that daughter is 5 years older and is not off of insulin, but she's not increased any insulin in 5 years. Wow. And so it's a huge success story. But Barbara has told me over and over, the reason that we joined you that day is because your reply was, only God knows. Not that, oh yeah, this will do it. we guided her to where we thought she was going. And there's nothing better, again, nothing better than authenticity. That is critical, that you're authentic, that you're genuine in what you talk about. Offer the vision of how things might be. If we don't determine what our prospect wants or needs, they have no motivation to engage at all. They have no problem to solve. If we haven't determined what the problem is, they have no problem to solve. You have to pare it down to a single force. If the net is too wide, if we're talking about too many different things, we won't get them. We won't get them to where we want them to be. They get confused, and we know what the confused mind does, right? The confused mind does nothing. So when you identify their problem, you have their interest. When you have had the conversation and you get to a problem, they're now interested in you. They recognize you as someone who understands them because you identified that problem. You care, you understand, you have credibility now, and you have authority with them. And that authority is important when you go to a call to action with them, because you've now connected in that way. You haven't just connected as somebody that came there and wants to sell them something. You've connected with somebody who understands, knows them, and may have a solution to their problem. So now, you have that genuine trust with them. And this is, again, where your third party is critical. Your third party is critical in that phone call to help you with that. If you can offer hope, why wouldn't you be bold in inviting them to join you? If you truly can sit there and say, I believe there's hope for this problem, the problem that you have. And again, cast vision. If you don't tell people where you plan to take them, they're not going to follow you. And that, I had to stop and think about that when I wrote that one down this morning and thought again about it. If I don't tell them, what are they going to follow? You've got to cast vision again on their future. It's not about you. You can use your testimonial and say, hey, but use it in the context of their problem. Use a testimony. You've got another example I'll use is my dad, who is 84, almost 85, had me do a third-party call with him Thursday with someone who is similar in age and has some similar issues, but some different as well. But the age, we could use his story and his tremendous testimonial to guide this lady to take action and a solution. If I'd have used my story with her, I wouldn't have been near where I was. I could use a diabetic story. I could use my husband's story about being borderline diabetic. That was powerful to her because it mattered. So I'm going to close this section by this and then turn it back over to Fred, and we'll do some Q&A. When you're willing to share the dream by including others, there's almost no limit to what you can accomplish. Fred, back to you.
Wow. I'm writing as fast as I can here to keep up with Linda. I had to get to the next page. Fortunately, folks, this broadcast it's being recorded. We're going to be posting it up on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/Fred Holmes Zija. It'll be up there a little bit later on today. Linda, that was powerful stuff, and it's very clear to me the passion you have for helping people, because you were able to not just say it, but actually delineate it, point 1, point 2, point 3. And I'm going to be going back and going through that. And folks, this is your opportunity. I've got a couple of questions for Linda, but this is your opportunity in the chat box. If you have a question, something you'd like her to expand upon, go ahead and put that in the chat box. We'll be monitoring that. Linda, one of the things that struck me as you were talking, you and a couple different times related to speaking to people that you may have known for an awfully long time. And this has always been one of the challenges that the average person has getting involved in network marketing. And they may come from who knows what, Uncle Bob, pitching everybody on his Amway products at the Thanksgiving dinner or whatever. People sometimes, especially brand new people, will sometimes have an aversion to contacting their, immediate circle of friends and family for fear that they would be perceived as, trying to sell their friends something, recruit their family members and that sort of thing. When I was first introduced, the I guess the response was given to me is, if you believe in your products, why wouldn't you want your closest friends and family to use these products? If you care about your closest friends and family, why wouldn't you at least want to give them an opportunity to change their life from a financial perspective by joining your business? They're not always going to do that. Maybe you could talk a little bit more detail about how to approach, a friend, somebody that, this could be somebody you maybe haven't been in direct contact with for a long time, or, maybe even many years. The average person thinks of 5 or 6 people, maybe 10 people when they go to write their list of friends and family, right? Well, reality is, most people graduate. I was about to get in trouble. Most people graduate from high school, and most people knew, 20, 50, 100, 200 people in their high school, right? Now, if you're like me and it's been 106 years since you were in high school, it may be hard to find them. And the fact of the matter is, those that are still alive, they're fat and ugly. And they need this stuff, right? But maybe you can expand a little bit more on how to approach somebody. Maybe it's, your dear friend from the neighbor, your next door neighbor that you used to have coffee with all the time 10 years ago when you lived there, or whatever. How would you go about reconnecting with somebody? Because you can find everybody. Trust me, I've had a few exes find me on Facebook. That's another story. But maybe you could talk a little bit more in depth about how would you approach somebody that, was really a dear friend, but you really haven't been in contact with for, a number of years.
Well, so I'll start by saying, I've got, just like I'm sure Fred does too, you've got some old time friends who joined you right away. You've got others who joined you after 5, 6, 7 months, or whenever the case might be. You've got others who have just joined you, and you've got some who aren't still in your business and need it worse than anybody. I was telling you the story about my 3 horses down in the barn as I was letting them out, and how I related them to different kinds of people. And the one who needs it the most would be the one with the attitude that he wouldn't even consider it. But I think what's important, and I get that, I think it's a challenge for us because we don't want to offend our friends, right? But I honestly am to the point where Fred has said too, is that I owe it to them. And I think you can say that to them. I think you can even start a conversation with, okay, so before you think I'm just selling something, or I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I want you to know, you may have absolutely, and I will start with, you may have absolutely no interest at all in what I'm talking about, but I owe it to you as a friend to talk to you about, to introduce you to this. Now, what we've all done way too many times is we picked up the phone to call a friend, and we start blurbing everything about the business and everything about the product and da 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 da, and we get nowhere, right? So that's where we use the, we've got to guide through. And we have to remember that this isn't about us being a hero here. They need to be the hero, and we need to be the guide. In the story, or in the book, Building a Story Brand, Donald Miller talks about Star Wars. And he says, if it wasn't for Yoda, Luke Skywalker would be nobody, right? You got to have the guide, and to allow the hero to get, so our prospects, our friends, have to become the hero in a solution to their problem. We guide them there, right? And so I would say with friends and family, I told you about my dad, and my side of the family, there's a fair number of people that are in the business and some who are not. lose sight, on the other hand, there's nobody that'll even touch it and need it worse than anybody. So I still have that as well too, but you just continue to drip.
And new people, did you hear what Linda just said? Because I like the same thing. I got some of my dearest friends who don't use my product. I've got some, family members that have chosen not to get in the business. And I even have one buddy, I won't use his name because there's a few people here who know him. I have one buddy that said, listen, dude, I will pay for it. I will give it to you. And he just looked at me and goes, don't do that. You know I ain't going to take it.
At least he's honest.
Exactly right. Now, and this has been for years. And of course, this is a guy that's got an entire shelf of medications, an entire shelf of medications. And half the stuff he doesn't know what it's for, but he just keeps taking it. Now, that being said, I got him on the our CBD squares. Got him on that because one day I walked in and his hand was all swollen up. He'd strained his finger lifting a cup of coffee. I mean, zero exercise. Aerobics is walking to the street to pick up the mail. I know there's one person on the show today that knows who I'm talking about. And so I said, well, here, put this on you. And he kind of went like this. I said, it'll make your thumb feel better. And now he does the CBD patches or squares. So, don't give up on them, right? Don't give it. Even some of your friends aren't so stupid they won't try something, right?
Yeah.
And you bring up something, and it's kind of I believe that people know the challenges they have at some level. I saw a little blurb from my high school reunion. I had a chance to go to my I think it was the 183rd high school annual reunion or something. It was 45th. This was a few years ago. I saw all the people there. I mean, and honestly, I thought to myself, what happened to all my friends? And there was, maybe two guys like me, two or three gals, that taking care. The notice came up on the page, so and so unexpectedly passed last night. And I'm not being morbid or uncaring, but what part of unexpected were they talking about? The guy was 100 pounds overweight. Was 100 pounds overweight. And so what was unexpected about that? And see, I genuinely believe that most people realize that they have challenges. And somebody that can communicate like you do, the caring and the desire to be supportive, that's how you break through. Don't use my technique. You're fat and you need this. Now, we've talked about, our circle of contacts. Okay, and I'm a firm believer, nobody ever runs out of people they know. Right. Nobody. I mean, I challenge any single person, regardless of, high-ranking, successful people like yourself or distributors that are, doing this part-time. Nobody's talked to everybody they know, right? Not everybody, for whatever reason they've chosen not to. Now, what is true is that most people will generate new contacts on a regular basis. The waiter that has become your friend because you go to that restaurant all the time, right? The fella at the postal suite where you pick up the mail because that's where you got your box, right? People that you see on an ongoing basis, the same gal that checks out your groceries at the grocery store, whatever. How would you start a conversation with somebody like that using what you're talking about, developing the relationship, asking about themselves? The 3 points I thought were just beautiful. Get to know more about them, via conversation, guide them to where they want to be, and then provide them with a solution to, their identified problem. Can you talk a little bit about, new acquaintances, if you will? Because we see people all the time that, again, the Fred Holmes method doesn't work. Geez, I barely know you, but you're fat. You need this. That's not the Fred Holmes method doesn't work real well. Trust me.
Well, absolutely, Fred. And I will tell you that, and I have a perfect example of this. When we first moved here, I had teams of people in every other state except here, right? We're in Tennessee. So I didn't know hardly anybody here. And I was on the road all the time. So I was rarely in the area. So when I met somebody new, it might be something like, hey, I'm building a business in this area. I'd love to get together with you, da, 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 da. And you know how many of those people I met with, right? Very few, if any. So when I first, even at the post office, at the restaurant, wherever, you've got to, so we really backed up, and this would be Lindsay and I both, but we really backed up and started building those relationships, and knew that what we needed to do first was build a network here and connect with people here before that, right? And I needed to get to know people better. They needed to get to know us. There needed to be more about here, so then, become part of things, right? So attend church every Sunday, but I wasn't really active in church. I really didn't get to know, well, one, because I was on the road a lot of Sundays. So what do? How do you get to know people? So I quit being on the road as much, and I developed leaders that led in their areas instead of just leading when I was there, right? So then I could develop those networks here and get involved in some different opportunities to build that circle and grow that. Or with the waiter that you go to a restaurant, go to the Garcia's, our favorite little Mexican restaurant, and get to know some people. You don't talk about Isogenics and Zija the first time that you meet her. You build that relationship. You get to know something about her. You ask questions that lead to answers that tell you more about her, so that you then have that connection, that entry. Hey, you know what? When she talks about, I don't know, if she talks about she's always so tired because she's got 2 little ones at home and she's this and she's that. Hey, I might have something that would work for you. And then, and then you can carry on with it from there. But building, again, you've got to have that entry, and you only get that place to enter with by getting to know people and connecting genuinely with them.
And you said that was powerful. Genuinely interested.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting to me, and a lot of my old friends, the people that are 106 years old like me, are really kind of amazed at who I've become, because I was never that guy. Again, I had a small circle of friends. I was never, I would, because I knew it was important to do so, I would attend different parties as a young man, but I always hated it. I always hated having to, to be in an environment where I didn't know people and smile and be social, and, I guess, recluse or introvert or whatever the term is. And
Wallflower.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, thank you. Yes. And what I found, and I'm sharing this because, for me back in the day, overtly engaging, a server in conversation, the fellow working on the car, what have you, that really wasn't my deal. I mean, I wasn't being rude or anything. I'd smile and nod and say, hi, how you doing? But that was about it. And one of the things, and this kind of maybe a little note for others that are maybe like me, what I did back in the day is I imagined, or I would look at examples of people that were the people I wanted to be, outgoing, social, high energy, engaging, and then I would pretend like I was acting like them. What would they say in that environment? I'm thinking about a fella, Dan McCormick, for those of you that maybe recognize the name. Dan McCormick, I met him in my very first company. Early 20s, he was already a millionaire by that point in time. And I tried to model myself after him, because he's the kind of guy, you walk into the restaurant, the gal or guy standing there at the little booth saying, how many? And he'd walk up to him and he'd go, how is your day going? How is your day going? Just like, wow, right there, I'm interested in you. Mm-hmm. And as we leave to go, I hope you have the very best day of your life. I mean, it was almost a little over the top, but you know what? He made people smile. Everybody remembered him. And so just those kinds of things, being able to, think of what to say And for me, that's what I had to do, is I had to pretend like I was that person. And it's become so much more of a natural, part of who I am. Um, we're hitting the end of our allotted time, Linda. Maybe you could take a moment and share with the folks something that you feel is important to communicate in the context of building your business, utilizing the skills that you've been talking about, the focus you've been talking about. One last point, and then we'll give her a wrap.
Well, I will say this as you were talking, Fred, that no matter who you are, if you're not willing to get out of your comfort zone, you won't up level your business, right? Because you're always going to go to those that make you comfortable. So even Fred has to have those that get him a little out of his comfort zone in order to up level your business and continue to grow. Because I truly, truly believe without a shadow of a doubt that this is for all of us, this is a calling for all of us, any of us who have been placed here. Lindsay has a tremendous story this week of where she prayed and asked God for people that would come to her that she should be reaching out to. And she reached out to the first name that God gave her that morning, and she got a note back saying, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe I got this message from you. I've been praying to God for an opportunity." And there's not a better example than that, right? But again, because we don't know. And another one that we talked to this week, that we had no idea of the health issues they had. They looked like pretty healthy people, and they're great people and healthy people, but they have health issues that we had no idea. So if you'll just get out of your own way, if you'll get out of your comfort zone and be willing to go talk to everyone, because everybody deserves what we have, and everybody in whatever form they want it, whether it's just product or if it's product and opportunity, everybody deserves it, guys. And we are here to leave a legacy. Thanks for having me, Fred.
Oh, thank you, Linda. What a blessing to have you joining us today. And folks, I hope you got at least as much as I did out of this. This is, Linda, thank you. I can't tell you how much all of us appreciate what you've shared with us today. I'll let you go back to the other side. And one little program note, Lindsay, Linda's daughter that you just heard the story about. Kudos to you, Lindsay, because you allow God to do one of his very best things, connecting people. Got a whole story about the greatest worker in the world, Jesus Christ, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, he had his frontline 12.
Yep.
He had one go to the other company.
Don't we all, right?
He illustrated a third-party validation, sent them out 2 by 2.
Yep.
Right?
There you go.
The message, right?
That's right.
That's another training for another day. Hey, Linda, great to see you. Looking forward to having Lindsay joining us on Biz Talks next week. So, folks, join us on Biz Talks next week. You'll see Linda's story, or Lindsay's story. Thank you, Linda. Have a great rest of your weekend.
Thank you, Fred. Bye-bye, everybody.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, that was powerful, and I know I'm going to have Linda back on another occasion to provide more. What I want to do kind of in closing is just do this for you. For those of you that are starting to see what's about to happen, let me just share this with you. It's what I shared with the young man I told you about from Philadelphia. In 35 years that I've been around this industry, I have never before seen the level of potential that we have today. I'm a numbers guy, okay, and I've been doing this for a long, long time, and I analyze companies. From the time I left my second company to the time I joined Zija, a number of years have gone by. I was prospected by hundreds of companies to join their team, and I saw an opportunity to do something incredibly special when I was introduced to the Zija company. The last 12 years have been phenomenal. We have helped thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people with their health, their wellness, and their financial security. The merger that we're undergoing today with Isagenix has so much more, even more potential than what I saw 12 years ago when I joined Zija. And I want each and every one of you to be able to take advantage of that. So reach out to me, reach out to Linda, any of the leaders. If you're looking for guidance, support, direction, that's what we're here for. Go to my YouTube channel. Fred Holmes Zija. Look at the playlist for the training videos. And then this upcoming week, join us on the resources we're making available for everybody. Conversations with Pat Anderson, Wednesday evening, 9:30 Eastern. You can access that broadcast through her website, clubmoringa.com. Thursday evening, Biz Talks, a business presentation that I typically host. You can access that through my direct website, fredholmes.com/webinar. That is an hour earlier. That'll be 8:30 in the evening, Thursday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. And then we'll be right back here Saturday morning, 10 o'clock Pacific, 1 o'clock Eastern time for another edition of New Distributor Training. With that, I'm going to go ahead and say goodbye. And one last shout out to Linda Conti. And I hope you all reach out to Linda. You'll find her on Facebook. Let her know what a great job she did, because she did an awesome job today. Thanks so much, Linda. Thank you all, folks. Have a great rest. Have the best Saturday of your entire life. Take care, folks.